Traitor to the Republic! Murderer of Romans! Enemy of the people! I have had your co-conspirators arrested, and they are patiently waiting for their moment of execution. But my own patience is wearing thin. I know villains like you do not have a sense of honor or virtue. Nevertheless, I know you were at least born Roman. If you have a speck of honor left, confess and surrender.
Consul, what are you doing? You can't publicly execute people without trial. Our laws forbid such despotism.
As dictator, prescription is well within my rights. The people of Rome saw fit to grant me that power. Who are you to question the wisdom of the people? They are people, are they not? They might have stopped serving you a long time ago, seeing how you are an enemy of the people. They are your compatriots, complicit in the same treason as you. They deserve death as much as you do. It is wartime. You of all people should understand what that means. I am still dictator. Nobody needs to appoint me as Iudex. I can do whatever I want in the best interest of Rome. And right now, I judge you guilty of the crime of treason. Will you submit yourself to my punishment? Indeed. I wonder who's going to stop me then. Unless your intention is to bore me to death, I would like to start executing these criminals.
This is bullshit! Those people are heroes!
They've done nothing wrong! Let them go!
You have lost your control, Lurko. Look at the faces of these people, your fellow citizens. They're afraid.
Only criminals and traitors should be afraid of me.
They're afraid of what you have turned the Republic into. That fear will turn into anger the moment anyone decides to stand up and protect the Republic.
You're a good tactician. Consider your position now. Your prisoners are the only advantage you possess. But they're only valuable while they're still alive. The Legatus can wait until you turn yourself into a murderer.
Or we can simply kill you and save them all. Then you will have achieved nothing here.
You wouldn't do that. You're men of law and order.
You still fail to think like a warrior. Your foe is in front of you. Strike him down and be done with it!
He can't kill us. He doesn't have the balls to do something like that. He knows he will be condemned.
I look forward to seeing my sister again, and to tell her that I'm sorry. My only regret is to die at the hands of such a pathetic man.
I've shed blood in the name of Rome since the day I was born, and today shall be no different. Let him execute us, if that's what it takes to save the Republic. You shall take care of them, and they can be proud of
Enough! Make your decision. As you wish. Who shall we take first?
Get it over with. Take me first. Then at least I won't have to listen to your drivel any longer.
Don't do this! You love him, and he loves you. He should not lose you. Take me instead. My time was always borrowed. I will see my sister again in the House of Song.
Don't do it! This isn't justice!
I decide what is just. Execute her.
You lip-dick coward!
Rest well, my second sister. I will find you in the afterlife, and we will hunt together again.
A traitor to the Republic has been brought to justice. I truly wonder what you will do now. I'm a man of my word. Witnesses? Who's going to hold me responsible? I am dictator in perpetuo!
atrocity!
What's next? Will you have Pompeius executed too?
Calm yourselves! People of Rome, I am you. Don't you understand? A firm hand is what the Republic needs!
Despot! Tyrant! Down with him!
Get him! Pull him down from there!
Get me out of here! Just get me out!
You're on your own, Consul!
Coward!
Webius Vitellius Lurco, you're not going anywhere! Throw yourself at the mercy of the Senate!
You can't do this. You don't have the authority. Get your hands off me! I am your consul!
Not for long, we'll see to that.
We won. My friend, you did it.
I should go home now. You do look better today.
Such things are natural. You've been tested physically and mentally. Furthermore, you've triumphed over your opponent. He has been stripped of his title and office.
It should have been someone else. Deianira had no reason to give her life for Rome.
She didn't. She gave her life for us.
Lurco will certainly be exiled, or even executed. The Senate doesn't have a high opinion of traitors. Obviously, you'll have to testify. There were accusations on both sides. The Senate must hear your side of the story.
If you will forgive me for bringing this up, I believe this will be good for your political career. You should measure yourself against the best of consuls, not the worst. As far as the Senate is concerned, you are a tragic hero who brought a corrupt consul to justice. Regardless of what happens to Lurco, Rome will need a new consul, and I can't think of a better candidate.
Cato is right. Both the Optimates and the Populares already support you. If you run for Senate, the election will result in a landslide win.
Truly, you are an interesting person. Very well, I respect your wish.
You did save them. Those who remain alive have you to thank for it. This chapter ends, and another chapter begins. Fortuna alone knows what the future holds.
Though many believed the savior of Rome would have been instantly elected for consul if he had chosen to run for the office, it seemed he had no appetite for political power any longer. Had his struggle against a rigid and corrupt system soured his view on the Republic? Or did he merely feel that his duty had finally come to an end, releasing him now to live a quiet and humble life and tend to his family's vineyards? We will never know. What is clear from the letters of Cicero is that though he was no longer directly involved in the politics of Rome, his virtuous example and his moral influence had set the Republic on a new course, one that would over the years lead to a strengthening of democracy and prosperity for patrician and plebeian alike. Rome, for a time at least, backed away from the temptation of empire and the threat of tyranny that always followed it. Cinyros. Once he had been an athlete, a wrestler, and a troublemaker. But in our story, he was a servus, a protector, and a mentor. He had died diligently performing the task to which he had devoted himself, protecting his ward. Cinyros was given a tomb in Rome's finest cemetery, next to his old dominus, whose death had incited this story. His cowardly murder had robbed him of any opportunity to see his homeland again. Though he met his end with dignity, he was forever denied the forgiveness and the vindication that he had sought for the mistakes of his youth. Caeso finally seemed to have had his fill of military campaigns. Together with Lucia and their daughter, he settled down in Rome. Though their relationship was distant at first, the shared love they felt for their daughter soon brought them close, and eventually they had many more children together. To his surprise, Caeso took well to the quiet life and to fatherhood. He remained very close with his old friends, with whom he often met to drink and eat and share stories of their old lives as the heroes of the Republic. Callida's second marriage turned out considerably better than her first. With her beloved husband committed to letting her live her best life, she was happy to settle down by his side, supporting him in his endeavors as he supported her. Callida was happy to find that it was possible to be a wife and a mother without giving up the things she loved. She taught their children archery and horseback riding, and nobody ever again looked down on her for her unwomanly pursuits. Bestia stayed in Rome and remained close friends with his old companions, going out of his way to stay in touch with them all, no matter the distance that separated them. He returned to the arena, but no longer as a gladiator. His new vocation was to teach Pancration, inspired by the story of his old magister Cinyros. Though it brought him little wealth, there is no doubt it made him happy. As soon as things had quieted down, Bestia traveled to Africa once more to look for his sister. He did find her and bring her home, and she lived happily there for the rest of her life. Deianira had given her life for her friends with no hesitation and no fear in her eyes. The Amazon warrior knew that she had avenged her sister and forgiven herself for her misdeeds. She went to the Chinvat Bridge with her head held high, ready to be judged. Vitellius Scaevola left Roman politics and moved to Upper Latium with his wife Liviana, where they raised their children together in peace. Cato remained an important figure in Roman politics, grudgingly respected even by those among the population who desired change. He remained a defender of the patrician class, a shield against the pandering and opportunism of more populist voices. He himself was elected consul twice throughout his life, and his years in the position were generally favorably regarded. Cicero served one more year as consul before his retirement. In his old days, he lived a quiet life on a farm in Sicily, where he was greatly beloved by the people for his time as quaestor. He continued to write many books on politics and law. With Mithridates dead and his sons lacking his ability to rule, Pontus was soon annexed by Rome. The region never again rose to prominence. With Zenobia in charge of Musia, it became once more a peaceful part of the Roman province of Asia Minor. With her focus on trade and strong ties to the neighboring regions, her people enjoyed a period of great prosperity. Grateful for the mercy he had been shown, and no longer with Mithridates to tempt his greed, Damianos quickly resumed political leadership of Thracia. Here, the gladiator rebellion that had started in his school was threatening to spiral out of control. Thanks to Damianos, the gladiators were pacified quickly and without inordinate bloodshed. Lunia's death sent Nazarmanes spiraling into a fractious conflict as greedy elders from minor tribes attempted to fill the void her passing had left behind. Though Queen Cleopatra attempted to bring the region under control, her attentions were too divided, the conflict too great for her to manage. Rome was forced to send more legions to enforce peace and stability with an iron fist. Though Africa Proconsularis eventually saw peace again, the traditions and culture of the Berber population were lost forever. Queen Cleopatra Philopator was, from the day of her coronation, a greatly beloved Queen of Egypt. Revered and admired by the population, she spent many of her days traveling up and down the Nile to visit her subjects and address their troubles and concerns. Under her rule, Egypt remained a powerful and prosperous nation and a strong ally of Rome. The fruits of the Nile flowed freely to the people of the Republic. After traveling all across Africa for many years, going wherever her instincts took her, Raya eventually returned to Memphis and to the service of Tener at the Temple of Ubasti. When her mentor passed away, Raya naturally assumed the mantle as High Priestess of the Cat Goddess. Though the old faith was dwindling, she was greatly beloved by many, and her temple prospered, always home to many, many, many cats. With Diwydiachus once more assuming rulership of the Aedui, the tribe maintained a strong alliance with Rome, and through it, they greatly prospered. With the aid of the Aedui, Gallia slowly unified under Roman rule, and civilization soon began to creep into those lands in the form of paved roads, aqueducts, and fortified Roman towns. In his old age, did the Druid ever regret hastening the absorption and suppression of his own faith and culture? We will never know. The once proud and strong Arwerni were greatly reduced by the defeat of Vercingetorix, but his survival gave them hope. His will to make war upon Rome had been crushed, but he remained a strong figure of leadership among his people, even despite his failures. With his guidance, the tribes of Gallia remained unified and somewhat at peace, and vestiges of their culture and traditions survived their gradual subjugation under Rome. In this work, I have done my best to recount the history of this fascinating period, truthfully and accurately. As I have scoured the sources and spoken to many who claimed to have heard the story from someone who was there at the time, one thing that has stood out to me is the pivotal moments along the way where our story could have turned out very differently. In his darkest moods, the savior of Rome must have wondered if there was anything he could have done differently to save his friends. Perhaps if he had struck down Vitellius Lurco on that stage, or if he had gone so far as to bring his legion across the Rubicon, none of his companions would have had to die. But for those of us left to live in a peaceful and strong republic, what transpired seems like the best possible outcome. Our republic was saved, and the villain, Vitellius Lurco, was brought to justice. One should always take care when second-guessing historical figures with the benefit of hindsight. Here in the present, there will never truly be a way for you to know how you might have acted if you had lived in the past. Nor can you ever be certain how history will remember you.